Space is not as simple as the textbooks make it seem. There is no definitive line where Earth ends and the cosmos begins, no abrupt boundary marked with a sign or a shield. The edge of space is a concept, a human attempt to define something fundamentally undefinable. Yet beyond the atmosphere, beyond the thin veil of oxygen and nitrogen, lies a realm where the familiar rules of life, and even perception, break down. The Kármán line, set roughly 100 kilometers above sea level, is often cited as the boundary of space, but this line is arbitrary, a human convenience rather than a natural law. Reality is far stranger. NASA, despite all its data, all its satellites, and all its probes, cannot fully admit the complexity and ambiguity of this frontier. There is a zone beyond Earth that challenges physics, perception, and imagination, a region where atmosphere, radiation, and gravity intermingle in ways that our instruments can detect, but our minds struggle to comprehend. The edge of space is not empty. It is a liminal zone where the atmosphere thins, but particles still exist, where meteoric dust blazes across the sky, and where energetic radiation from the sun interacts with the upper ionosphere in unpredictable ways. Satellites and spacecraft traversing this region experience forces that defy ordinary expectations. Plasma streams, charged particle storms, and magnetic anomalies can disrupt communication, navigation, and even the material integrity of the craft. NASA's publicly available data describe these phenomena in cautious, measured terms, but the reality is far more dynamic and, in many ways, dangerous. The edge of space is a crucible, a transitional layer where Earth's familiar protections vanish, and the raw energy of the cosmos becomes tangible, unavoidable, and incomprehensibly vast. Consider the human perspective. Astronauts crossing this invisible threshold report sensations that are difficult to quantify, a profound awareness of fragility, a perception of both distance and intimacy with the infinite, and an acute understanding that even the faintest error could be fatal. Beyond a certain altitude, the atmosphere is too thin to support conventional flight, yet gravity still tugs relentlessly. Solar radiation becomes a deadly presence, and high-energy particles from cosmic rays can penetrate shields and even human tissue. It is not the vacuum alone that is dangerous, but the combination of forces, energies, and unknown variables. The edge of space is less a destination and more a boundary of human capability and understanding, a place where our scientific models begin to fray at the edges. NASA's narrative frames space as a controlled frontier, mapped, charted, and understood, but the truth is more nuanced. Instruments can measure temperature, pressure, particle flux, and magnetic fields, yet anomalies persist, phenomena that do not align with our current understanding of physics. Charged particle events flare without predictable cause. Radio signals distort in patterns that remain partially unexplained. Spacecraft experience minute, inexplicable forces that cannot be attributed to conventional mechanics. These observations suggest that the edge of space is not a passive void, but an active, complex environment, influenced by solar winds, geomagnetic interactions, and perhaps forces we have yet to fully comprehend. If the mysteries of the cosmos intrigue you, 404 Altverse is the place to explore them. Subscribe and join us as we navigate the fringes of Earth's atmosphere, the invisible boundaries of space, and the anomalies that challenge our perception of reality. Each discovery, each anomaly, each question pushes the limits of human understanding, revealing that even the supposedly well-known frontier above our heads is far stranger than we imagine. The edge of space is also a zone of profound transitions. Atmospheric gases become rarefied, molecules travel vast distances without collision, and temperature gradients fluctuate wildly depending on solar exposure and geomagnetic conditions. Radiation belts form natural shields in some regions but concentrate energy dangerously in others. Micrometeoroids, invisible to the naked eye, strike spacecraft with immense force, threatening both hardware and human life. It is a liminal space, a threshold where science confronts uncertainty, and where the universe asserts its raw, untamed power. The implications extend beyond technology or safety. The edge of space is a place where human concepts of up and down, density and vacuum, even time and measurement, become relative. The Earth below is a sphere, a fragile oasis suspended in a cosmos that is neither empty nor stable. Observers at this altitude perceive the planet as a glowing, rotating sphere, surrounded by a thin halo of atmosphere, yet the boundaries are not fixed. The transition from life-sustaining air to lethal vacuum is gradual, filled with gradients, fluxes, and unpredictable phenomena. It is a frontier of perception as much as physics, where human understanding collides with the sublime vastness of reality. Finally, the edge of space is a reminder of human limitation and curiosity. We have sent probes and astronauts to this boundary, yet our knowledge remains incomplete, partial, and filtered through caution. What lies beyond the Kármán line challenges the imagination, and the anomalies, the unexpected forces, and the complexities of this region remain largely undisclosed or underemphasized. NASA presents a narrative of achievement and exploration, but the edge of space is also a domain of uncertainty, danger, and profound mystery, a reminder that even the most studied frontiers harbor secrets that elude our comprehension. The edge of space is not a mere line or altitude. It is a dynamic, living boundary where forces beyond comprehension converge. Solar winds, high-energy cosmic rays, and geomagnetic storms collide with the rarefied atmosphere in a complex ballet that can disrupt satellites, fry electronics, and even alter the trajectories of objects in ways modern models cannot fully predict. These phenomena are not consistent. They fluctuate, interact, and produce effects that challenge the precision of even the most advanced instruments. What NASA presents as a navigable frontier is in reality a turbulent, semi-chaotic region where human understanding is constantly tested against the raw power of the cosmos. Even within this invisible boundary, human perception becomes unreliable. Astronauts report profound disorientation, the sensation that up and down have no meaning, and the eerie realization that Earth's familiar patterns of gravity, air, and weather give way to subtle but persistent forces that cannot be directly observed. Radiation belts wrap the planet in invisible, lethal layers, while magnetic anomalies produce localized distortions that subtly tug at spacecraft. Micrometeoroids, though minuscule, strike at velocities that turn them into deadly projectiles. In this arena, ordinary intuition fails. The cosmos is experienced not as a passive backdrop, but as an active, unpredictable participant in every movement and calculation. NASA instruments have recorded phenomena that defy conventional explanation. Charged particles flare unpredictably, radio transmissions are warped in ways that cannot be fully accounted for, and small anomalies in satellite trajectories have been observed that suggest forces beyond known physics are at work. These subtle deviations are often attributed to calibration errors or unmodeled variables, but their consistency across multiple missions raises questions. The edge of space is a zone where our models of reality begin to fray, a liminal region where the universe's behavior does not entirely conform to human expectations. This region also challenges our understanding of time and perception. Light from the sun and distant stars interacts with the thinning atmosphere and magnetic fields in ways that warp measurements and perceptions. Auroras, lightning storms in the ionosphere, and energetic particle events create transient patterns that are at once beautiful and unpredictable. Spacecraft and satellites, exposed to these forces, experience fluctuations in orbital stability and communication that must be constantly corrected. It is a delicate dance between human ingenuity and cosmic chaos, a reminder that the edge of space is not simply out there. It is a continuously evolving environment of immense power and subtle complexity. If the mysteries of the edge of space intrigue you, 404 Altverse is your portal to understanding them. Subscribe and join us as we traverse the thin boundary between Earth and the cosmos, exploring the anomalies, forces, and phenomena that challenge even the most advanced scientific understanding. Each observation, each measurement, and each mission is a step into a realm where knowledge meets the sublime, where the familiar gives way to the extraordinary. The human experience at these altitudes underscores the peril and wonder of this region. Astronauts and pilots approaching the Kármán line describe a profound sense of vulnerability and awe. Gravity's pull is subtle but relentless. The atmosphere is thin yet still present. Solar radiation is deadly yet invisible. Time, distance, and scale seem to stretch and warp. The edge of space is not a single threshold but a gradient, a transitional zone where human senses, instruments, and expectations are perpetually challenged. It is a frontier of perception, a reminder that understanding the universe requires humility as much as knowledge. Beyond the immediate dangers, the edge of space is a laboratory for phenomena that could reshape our understanding of physics. High-energy particles from the sun, cosmic rays from distant supernovae, and interactions with Earth's magnetic field produce effects that may inform everything from quantum mechanics to cosmology. Yet many of these findings remain classified, minimized, or omitted from public narratives. NASA's official communication emphasizes safety, exploration, and achievement, but the full complexity of this environment, its anomalies, hazards, and uncharted phenomena, is far richer and stranger than most are led to believe. The edge of space also serves as a bridge between the known and the unknowable. It is the threshold where the protective layers of Earth end and the raw forces of the cosmos begin to dominate. Solar winds, charged particle streams, magnetic field distortions, and radiation all converge in a zone that is measurable yet unpredictable, calculable yet chaotic. Human presence in this region, even briefly, is an act of confrontation with the sublime and the unknown. It is a place where human understanding reaches its limits, and where the universe asserts its complexity in every particle, photon, and field. Finally, the edge of space is a mirror of human ambition and limitation. It reminds us that even as we advance technologically and scientifically, we remain small, fragile observers in a vast, dynamic cosmos. NASA's narrative emphasizes achievement, yet the truth is that the frontier we believe we control is in many ways untamed, a liminal space governed by forces that are as mysterious as they are powerful. The edge of space is not a boundary to be conquered. It is a threshold to be respected, explored, and understood, a realm where human knowledge meets the sublime and the unknowable. The edge of space is more than a boundary. It is a revelation, a threshold where human understanding is confronted with the raw, untamed forces of the cosmos. Beyond the Kármán line, the rules of everyday life unravel. Gravity is weaker but persistent. Air is almost non-existent but still interacts in unpredictable ways. And the invisible barrage of cosmic radiation constantly reminds us that Earth is a fragile oasis in an indifferent universe. To cross this boundary is not merely to travel physically. It is to traverse a conceptual frontier, one where physics, perception, and imagination collide. In this realm, the universe asserts itself with an intensity and subtlety that humbles the mind and elevates the soul. NASA's carefully curated narratives give the impression that this edge is well understood, a line we can measure, traverse, and control. Yet the reality is far stranger. Data collected from satellites, the International Space Station, and high-altitude missions reveal anomalies that defy conventional understanding. Microscopic forces tug unpredictably at spacecraft, radiation fluctuates in ways that cannot be entirely modeled, and charged particle streams behave as if guided by invisible, almost sentient currents. These phenomena are real, measurable, and repeatable, yet they often resist full explanation. The edge of space is not a static frontier. It is a dynamic, ever-changing environment where certainty is fleeting and the sublime is constant. Consider the interplay of Earth's magnetic field with the solar wind. These invisible lines of force channel streams of charged particles into the polar regions, producing auroras that ripple like living tapestries across the sky. Yet these interactions also generate unpredictable currents and instabilities that can interfere with satellite electronics, alter spacecraft trajectories, and even affect the orientation of orbiting objects. Instruments measure these effects, but models only approximate their complexity. Within this liminal zone, energy is both structured and chaotic, patterns emerge and dissolve in microseconds, and the cosmos reminds us that the universe does not bend to human expectation. Human experience in this region adds a layer of existential insight. Astronauts report disorientation, a sense of fragility, and the awe-inspiring sight of Earth suspended against the infinite blackness of space. Up and down become relative. Time and distance lose their intuitive meanings. The edge of space is not merely a physical transition, but a psychological and philosophical one. Observing Earth from this altitude transforms perception. The planet is fragile, finite, and beautiful, yet surrounded by forces beyond comprehension. Humanity, in this context, is both infinitesimal and miraculous, an emergent pattern in a vast, indifferent, and powerful cosmos. If the secrets of space's frontier captivate you, 404 Altverse is where these mysteries come alive. Subscribe and explore with us the anomalies, the forces, and the paradoxes that define the edge of our world and the beginning of the unknown. Each photon, particle, and current at this boundary tells a story of energy, structure, and unpredictability, a story that challenges both science and imagination. Radiation at this altitude is another invisible but lethal reality. Cosmic rays, composed of high-energy particles from distant supernovae and other astrophysical events, penetrate shielding and interact with matter unpredictably. Solar flares can erupt without warning, bathing satellites and astronauts in dangerous bursts of energy. Even minuscule particles traveling at near-light speeds pose enormous risks, capable of destroying sensitive electronics or injuring unshielded humans. The edge of space is, in essence, a crucible, a place where ordinary rules fail, where the sublime and the dangerous converge, and where our models of reality are constantly tested against empirical chaos. The philosophical implications are profound. The edge of space is a liminal zone where human perception meets the infinite. It is a reminder that knowledge is provisional, that mastery is limited, and that existence itself is embedded within a complex, energetic web of forces we are only beginning to understand. It challenges the illusion of control and forces us to recognize the vastness and complexity of the cosmos. Humanity is both observer and participant, a fleeting consciousness trying to navigate and comprehend forces that span scales beyond imagination. Moreover, this frontier hints at questions beyond science. Why does space behave as it does at the thresholds of our atmosphere? Are there unknown interactions, unobserved forces, or subtler aspects of physics at play that remain hidden from our instruments? Could phenomena at the edge of space influence the evolution of Earth, the behavior of our atmosphere, or the future of exploration in ways we do not yet understand? Each question opens new avenues for curiosity, exploration, and speculation, turning the edge of space into both a scientific challenge and a philosophical meditation on our place in the cosmos. In the end, the edge of space is more than a line on a map or a number in a textbook. It is a profound reminder of the unknown, the dangerous, and the sublime. It is where human understanding meets the universe on its own terms, where instruments and intuition alike encounter limits, and where the beauty and terror of reality converge. To explore this frontier is to confront our fragility, our ingenuity, and our capacity for wonder. It is a threshold that reminds us not only of what lies above, beyond, and between, but also of what it means to exist in a cosmos that is vast, energetic, and eternally mysterious. The truth that NASA cannot fully admit is not malice or secrecy. It is the inherent complexity and unpredictability of the frontier itself. Space is not static. It is alive in its forces, its energies, and its interactions. The edge of space is a theater of constant emergence and transformation, a liminal zone where the sublime dominates and human understanding must adapt. Every mission, every observation, every experiment is a small step into a realm where knowledge is provisional and awe is constant. Ultimately, the edge of space is a mirror. It reflects the limits of our understanding, the fragility of our existence, and the vast, energetic, and ever-changing cosmos that surrounds us. To stand on that threshold, even conceptually, is to confront the sublime, to recognize both danger and beauty, and to realize that the universe, in all its raw power, complexity, and mystery, will always remain one step beyond complete comprehension.